All right. Today, I am actually going to play a little bit of a clip from a podcast I listened to about a week ago, and I'm finally getting around to filming the content. So, this is from a podcast called The Pump Podcast. This is Anthony Pompliano, I think is how you say his name. He's all sorts of things, entrepreneur in the technology space, more so in like the blockchain cryptocurrency area. He started this podcast a few years back. It was really popular at first because it was so cryptocurrency centric, but then he started kind of getting more perspectives from technological people and other people of different backgrounds. So he added more value, and more people follow him. So this guy, he's got some good things to say. Alex Gladstein, that's who is speaking currently. And what they're talking about currently is the project that Apple and Google have together, the digital tracing, the digital contact tracing project that these two companies have had. Now, Google, as you know, is like a really big company, right? And most of us use Gmail or have Androids and etc. And then Apple, on the other hand, if you're not a Google or an Android user, you are an Apple user. Very few people stand in between or in the middle of those. And as a combination, the possible addressable market for Android, Google, and Apple users is huge. So this guy's talking about their new project and kind of just what to be, I would say, cautious about, what to pay attention to. And I agree. Why we should be more skeptical, why we should be more hesitant, why we should have more pushback. And if not, what are the consequences? And I guess we'll talk about that when we dive into it. But for now, you'll be listening.
And yet, when Apple and Google came out with their announcement that they were going to collaborate on a digital contact tracing platform for the world, and remember, between them, that's covering 3 billion people.
3 billion.
Think about all the people who have Android devices, Apple devices, etc. So we're talking about like a third of the world could come under surveillance from this particular idea. And people were cheering, dude. Like people from Silicon Valley, investors, media, they were all like, this is so great. And I'm sitting here being like, this is the culture war over privacy.
Yep.
This is my side losing. How is this possible? How are people so short-sighted that they've forgotten what has Google done in the last decade to prove that they care about your privacy?
Boom. Okay, I'm going to pause it right there really quickly. I just want to hit on that for a second. So, two things. Culture war that he mentioned. We very much are seeing a culture war, and I'll talk more about kind of what I think the different culture wars we're seeing are, but in particular, this one is giving up our privacy for security, giving up our privacy for ensuring that we don't come in contact with somebody who's infected, or it's basically fear. I mean, when you boil down to our motivations behind dismissing the fact that our privacy is out the window and adopting this new safe haven type of technology that can help protect against the spread of the virus. That's fear. Our actions, our motivations are rooted in fear, and we are fearful because of the fear mongering going on and the heightened level of fear that's being spread around from either person to person or from media to person, which ultimately can be the same thing. So what he mentioned was the project, like I said, with Apple and Google. They've got a digital contact tracing protocol that they have been working on, and they announced it, I don't know, about a week or two ago. And what obviously he made a good point. When's at any time, at any point has Google made it a point to protect you or stated that they care about your privacy or whatever? The point is that Google is the last person that we want to put in charge with our privacy or with anything to do with our private movement or private conversations or private anything. And for the record, privacy doesn't just matter to, let's say, criminals or people who are breaking the law or underground people. That's not what privacy is all about. Privacy is much more than that. And I strongly encourage people before it's gone and before it's lost to really reconsider their relationship with privacy and how much it means to them, and especially in the future. But we'll keep playing this clip because he makes a few more good points. And yeah.
Seriously. And people look at this. If you, I don't know if you looked at the documentation, but it's like very thin, very vague, very utopian for their plan to basically use the Bluetooth technology in your phone. And the sort of very brief way that I'll kind of summarize the way it works is that your Bluetooth technology in your phone, when you have an app that uses Bluetooth running, basically can send out a little signal to other phones in a particular radius. Okay, it's not tracking your exact location; it's just kind of sonaring out, right? And it's just kind of beep, beep, beep. And whenever you come into contact with someone else who also has this happening, your phone and that phone can exchange like an encrypted number, okay? And then like your phone basically monitors who the other numbers it's come into contact with and uploads this list of numbers to a database. And then that database alerts your phone if you've come into contact with someone who ends up being positive. That's like the way they've pitched it.
Sophisticated.
The
right.
problem is that there are a lot of vulnerabilities in this system, even at the base layer. I was looking at something today that said that basically the problem comes from when you declare that you're positive, right? So when you declare you're positive, all of a sudden, like your identifiers are declared as positive, and companies can start marketing to you, understanding that you're positive.
That's dumb.
Governments obviously know that you're positive because you have to declare yourself positive. And there's a lot of vulnerabilities even on that level. But even if we're to assume that they make it as privacy protecting as possible, this Apple, Google infrastructure, they're not building the app. They're just building the protocol. So governments and companies are going to build the apps, folks. So just remember, Apple and Google aren't building the app. They're building a protocol for phones to talk to each other. And that might be privacy preserving. I still think there's vulnerabilities. Moxie Marlinspike, the creator of Signal, has a really good thread on this that you can look at. I still think there's possibilities for issues even on the base layer.
I mean, he's right. So all in all, to summarize that, they are building a new protocol, which is kind of, I want to say it's a new technology, but it's just a protocol, right? I mean, it is tech. It is new because it's never been done before. But if you didn't understand what he was saying, so we have Bluetooth in our phones, right? And we can hook up Bluetooth to our laptops, to our cars, to, you know, whatever, other devices, headphones, etc. And we've got Bluetooth connection all over the place. And this new protocol that's built will, let's say I've got two devices, right? One here. Both are on Bluetooth, and Johnny and Billy are hanging out when they're not supposed to. And what the protocol is doing and is being built is that they will have it to where this user, Jimmy and Billy, when their phones get close enough together, the Bluetooth will create or generate a message or a signal, and then that will go into some kind of cloud or something of the sort, some off-base type of storage for data storage, and boom, that's what it is. And as soon as you test positive, boom, they go back into that data storage and they see everybody else's Bluetooth device that you were interacting with or that you were nearby for, and that's how they're able to send everybody text messages saying that you've been in contact with somebody who tested positive for the virus. Now, although that does sound like a good idea, there isn't, like this individual was saying, and at least into my research, there isn't any clear indication that this is a very big helper. Digital contact tracing, that is. Contact tracing, there is, I mean, a little bit, right? But this is completely new, and it's being, you know, swept in, and the gates are opening because fear keeping them closed or keeping them open. And it's getting really scary, because when that happens, I think it's more capabilities are going to be possible with these big companies that already have a bunch of our data, and it's just, it's not pleasant. So we're going to wrap this up really quickly.
But we have to remember that governments and companies are actually going to make the app, and what they're going to do is combine this kind of like very accurate Bluetooth tracking technology. Bluetooth tracking technology can be accurate to the inch, whereas GPS or cell phone tracking, generally speaking, is much less accurate. It's not that accurate. I mean, you can't even use it for digital contact tracing because it's not accurate within 10 meters, etc. But Bluetooth contact tracing is accurate to the inch. So what we're doing is, society is in the process of cheering on two companies that are known privacy violators.
Boom.
Google, of course, everywhere, and Apple in China, especially. And we're cheering them on for implementing a brand new, much more potent location tracking system for potentially billions of people. And it's just stunning for me to watch this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. And I think people haven't thought about the implications. And I can guarantee you that the actual products that people use later on top of this platform are going to have all kinds of personal data. So again, even if we take them at their utopian, noble word that their platform that Apple and Google are making is going to be as privacy preserving as possible, again, they're not making the apps. Companies and governments are going to make the apps, and they're going to take this incredible new tech that's being invented essentially on the spot.
Yeah.
That's going to give them the ability to monitor people based on their Bluetooth interactions.
Yeah.
And then they're going to combine that with your name, your phone number, where you've been, etc. And they're going to have a real-time understanding of every single person that you've come into contact with. And they can't do that right now. Their current triangulation of cell phone tracking doesn't allow them to do that. If you listen to for example, the Rogan episode with Snowden, he talks about how your phone has a unique identifier. It has your SIM card has a unique identifier, etc. And they're tracking you. They're looking at your phone and they're triangulating you. But this is we're talking something that's way more accurate. So this base layer protocol can be used in combination with your other personal data to give a government or company real-time understanding of every single person that you speak to or encounter on a daily basis. And they didn't have that before. And the masses are cheering for it. And that's what I think people need to think hard about.
Boom. Okay, so to wrap it up, okay, I think he's very right. He's spot on. I think that's what a lot of us need to be reconsidering and thinking hard about the implications. For me personally, I am turning off a lot of my signal, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Little things like that convince myself that make a difference could just make a difference in whatever the future might hold. But what I think the bottom line is that we have to wake up. We have to continue to push legitimate questions through and challenge these massive efforts of mass surveillance and diminishing privacy and diminishing freedom of speech and all of this stuff, all of our freedoms as Americans. We've got to do a better job at that and challenging those. But these are two known privacy violators, like he said, Apple, Google, and it's just insane that we don't look around at each other and say, are you smoking crack? Do you know the companies that you're rooting for? Do you know what they've done? Do you know what they're doing? Do you know how I guess evil they are? This is our information that they're tracking, our behaviors that they're monitoring, and they're selling it to the highest bidder. We all know this. And as business owners, we utilize that awesome resource to get more money, and it's all money driven and at the sacrifice of the people and at the sacrifice of our freedoms and at the sacrifice of our privacy. We're trading off security for privacy, and we're trading we're trading privacy for security, and we're trading all of our freedoms for safety and the decrease of fear level. So it's astonishing to me that more people aren't challenging these kind of things, and we don't see more on the headlines or just more disruptive type people looking to squash these kind of efforts. I don't know. Let's just hope they're not too big to fail. So, anyways, I'm glad that you were paying attention this morning. And anybody who has any questions, please reach out to me. That was on the Pomp podcast. Again, there is a couple of really good podcast interviews that Anthony Pompliano does, and a few other people that I follow, but more so kind of just pushing information about what's going on, the transitions that we're seeing right now in America, not only that, but on the world scale. And yeah, I think I just want everybody to be safe and be smart and be adaptable. All right. Talk soon.